Hello and welcome to the classroom. I'm so delighted you found me here. Welcome my wonderful word weavers, my splendid sentence stackers. In fact, we are here to think and write and actually craft like a big community classroom, a story for the nation. I'm going to explain how super sentence stacking works. How it works is we go and watch a film, and every day there is a film focus. There is a new film focus every day. And soon, not yet, but soon I'm going to ask you to go and watch that film. Today's film is called The Small Shoemaker. And if you look in the link below, there will be guidance to find that film. And when it's the right time, you can go and make yourself comfortable and you can watch it at your leisure. It's really important that you watch the whole film and you take the whole film in. After you've watched the film, there's a really important job to do. And that job is choosing a chunk that you're going to write about. In the description below, there are times that you choose. And it's really important that you choose wisely and carefully. Because once you have chosen your chunk, your writing needs to stay in those time boundaries, and that is really crucial. Okay, everybody. The other thing I want to say before we get going is this. You are about to write. I want you to think of the things we have done in the classroom. Mrs. C will be modelling the ideas of writing. She'll be modelling the grammar of writing. And there are times when we'll be looking at techniques of writing. Every day, I task you to write 9 vivid, evocative sentences. Your very best writing, where you're really thinking about the words and the language and your choices. I also want you to try your best. I don't want you to worry if you don't make 9 sentences, but we don't need any more than 9 sentences. Every day there are 3 writing challenges, and under my stewardship, I'm going to truly help you to mould your writing and craft your writing and knock it into shape, because I'm your writing teacher. I'm a specialist in teaching writing, and I can really help you with language and words and actually choosing with precision so that your writing comes alive, so it begins to breathe and actually ways to inject interest so that our writing is sharp and rich and begins to glow. Oh, I'm so glad you're here, my precious pen pushers. I am so excited. In fact, I'm excited every day to help you with writing, and you're under my wing, my wonderful wing, and I'm going to help you. I'm going to be your writing teacher. Okay. What we're going to do is, in a moment, I'm going to ask you to watch some writing teaching, and it's really probably now is the right time. If you look in the bottom of the screen, you can see a little animation, a little cartoon of a boy on a pencil. If you click subscribe there and then click my bell, then I can tell when learning is alive and well. Just click in there then you'll know when I'm in the classroom teaching writing, and you'll also know actually when I'm in the reading room reading the nation's story. Okay. The nation's story, and this is important to know this as well, happens every day at 3:30. And there is a deadline for your writing. You're going to watch me give you advice. And when it's your turn to write, you need to get your writing back into me at 12:30. That gives me a chance to choose and decide and look at my favourites and which pieces of writing have really struck me because they are engaging and eloquent and expressive. I always consider how old you are when you're handing in your writing, and that is really important. When you hand your writing in, you put your name on it, your age, and don't forget which chunk you have written. What Mrs. C is going to do as she reads your work and she sorts out all the chunks, she sews them together. She embroiders them and strengthens the links and joins so it reads as a beautifully coherent story for the nation at 3:30. That's when I'll be in the reading room reading your wonderful work. Okay, my splendid sentence selectors, you are now going to watch me do some demonstration writing. And I'm going to make my thinking very visible. This piece of paper is going to be our working territory. You're going to see me tussle and tossle and struggle with words. I'm going to reject some words. I'm going to really consider words on thesaurus synonym family scales, which are the best ones for the job today to make our writing really precise. When I do modelled writing, you're going to see two things happening. You're going to see me working on the page with a pen, but you're also going to see the writer's brain. You're going to look inside my mind, and every time we write, we need to listen to our internal writing voice. The best place to write is in a quiet space, so you can really think and choose. Okay, now, today in our film, we have we actually have three, but two very important characters that we are going to name. We have got Mr. Bott, who owns the shop and has owned that shop for many years, the shoe shop. Mr. Bott is the shoemaker. We also have Mr. Ripout. Mr. Ripout is the street vendor, the peddler. We've all read Roald Dahl and David Walliams' books where and in fact, I'll let you know that Charles Dickens was probably the first author to do this, where a character's name hints at their personality or what they might be like. And if you look at the street vendor's name, Mr. Ripout, it has echoes of rip-off, that maybe his goods are substandard. And he's going into conflict there with Mr. Bott. So there are our two characters, Mr. Bott and Mr. Ripout. Now, I'm going to tell you the 3 writing challenges. What are they? And let's find out about them. Our first writing challenge, can you see here? This has the words and on and on and on. We are going to do a skill called repetition for effect. It's the power of 3, kind of a triplicate device where you choose words. You choose the words, you're the writer. Choose words that you choose deliberately to repeat. And we're going to do that 3-fold. But I'm going to narrow that down a bit. I'm going to ask you, actually, I'm going to give you the choice. When you're going to choose a word to emphasise today, we're going to see if we can do it with a coordinating conjunction. Now, these are the 3 choices today. You could either do it with this word, so, or this word, yet, or this word, but. I'm also going to give you the option of any other word. So you might think, this isn't coming easily to me as a writer. So I'm also letting you, if you don't have a conjunction to repeat, but the word you choose, I want to see it 3 times for emphasis in your writing. That's today's writing challenge. The second writing challenge is about punctuation. And we are going to do something quite tricky. We are going to include a bracket. But this bracket is going to be one of those clever brackets where it's almost we're whispering to the reader. We're reminding them about something. We're emphasising something, almost like an aside to the reader. So I'm going to show you how to do that. This bracket that we're using, our sentence will make sense without it. But it's like us talking directly to the reader. I'm going to show you how to do that, don't worry. It's a talking to the reader emphasis bracket. And we've done this before, but let's do it again. We're so excited when this comes back. We're going to have a go at a simile, where we compare something to something else. And today we're going to use the word like to introduce that comparison. So, repetition for effect, a punctuation type of a bracket, and then a simile. Okay, here we go then. I am now going to show you how to craft and construct the writing challenges into your writing. I want you to watch carefully. Yours will have some of these challenge principles, but you'll be writing to your chunk. Before, the thing I'm going to do is write my name, my age, and what chunk I am on, and I'm on chunk 7. So, I'm now with all of that information on my piece of paper, and I'm going to make a start. In the Small Shoemaker, the exact time, and I'm writing within those times, it's really interesting actually, because Mr. Bott knows he has to do something about Mr. Ripout. And he comes up with a plan. And this plan is based on a gift. And the gift is in a red box. I'm going to now explain very clearly to the reader that this is the moment in the story when Mr. Bott gives Mr. Ripout the red box gift. It's not really a gift. I think it's a bit of a trick, and I have to show the reader that as well. But let's make it clear what's happening. Mr. Bot, it's almost like decides to trick Mr. Ripout. But before that, he comes up with a plan. I probably need a more precise word than comes up. Mr. Bot hatched, that's the word, hatched a plan. Hatched a plan. I'm going to put a full stop there. I think that's a really clear and concise sentence. But what I'm going to do now for emphasis, I'm going to repeat that beginning, just so that it's that kind of slowing down as a writer. A plan, and I'm going to think about these coordinating conjunction words. A plan so, and now I could do that 3 times. A plan so cunning. That's a good word. I'm going to write that on my shadeometer to check if that's exactly the word I want to choose. Let me have a little think. A plan, and this is what we might think about it, it's a cunning plan. Sometimes words are cliches, and I think that's used quite a lot. So I'm going to do some thesaurus thinking now to get some more ideas. Okay. Cunning plan, a devious plan. That's a good word. A sneaky plan, a shrewd plan. I love the word shrewd. I think I'm going to use that. Mr. Bot hatched a plan so shrewd. That's good. I'm going to now repeat that. So clever. And I'm going to repeat that again. So perfect. So perfect. Mr. Bot hatched a plan so shrewd, so clever, so perfect. He was sure it would work. Okay. Mr. Bot hatched a plan so shrewd, so clever, so perfect. He was sure it would work. Wow. I like that. And I love the way we've repeated that 3 times. So shrewd, so clever, so perfect. He was sure it would work. Okay. I'm now going to move on and actually get Mr. Bot to hand over the red box. He carried the red gift box. Gift is a nice word. The red gift box outside. He carried the red gift box outside. I now want to emphasise something to the reader, that it's not really a gift. I think I want the reader to be really sure it's part of the cunning plan. So I'm going to open up the bracket, and then I want to say something like, which contained a very unusual surprise, which contained a very, I don't know if unusual is the word I want to use, so I'm going to do some thesaurus thinking now about ways we might feel about this gift. Let me have a little think. We could have, let's write down unusual as our starting point, but I perhaps need some other synonyms. Unusual, amusing would be a good word. Intriguing, oh, I like that. Intriguing, quite hard to spell. Intriguing, curious. Yeah, it's a bit strange. All of those words work. The best one, I think, is intriguing. I'm going to draw which contained a very intriguing surprise. I'm going to close the bracket there, and I've got to make sure this makes sense. He carried the red gift box outside. I need more here to finish this sentence. And gave it, presented it to the street salesman. I'm going to go back and reread that. I'm going to look closely at my spelling. Mr. Bott hatched a plan. A plan so shrewd, so clever, so perfect, he was sure it would work. He carried the red gift box outside, which contained a very intriguing surprise, and presented it to the street salesman. I'm going to put a red gift box. I'm going to put a comma there, red gift box. That splits that up there. I'm now going to think about a simile. This is my favourite part of the film because, strangely, in the box are some gold shoes. And the goldenness of the shoes is a perfect writing opportunity to think about descriptive words for golden and other things in the world that are gold. And we can really think about that. Okay, so here we go then. I'm going to now move to the third sentence. I'm presented. I love being a real writer, checking, looking. I've just noticed that when you reread your work, because you are the writer, you just think sometimes it's perfect. And just that little space, I've come back and realised I've missed a word and presented it to the street salesman. Always wise to check closely, and sometimes you need to check a few times. Okay, my third sentence now. I'm thinking about my simile. I want Mr. Ripout to open the box. Mr. Ripout, I think the best word for that is to be clear, opened. Mr. Ripout opened, I'm going to say the lid, because that's exactly what happens. Or maybe lifted the lid, that would be better. You'd have opened the box, lifted the lid. So I'm going to change that. Mr. Ripout lifted the lid. Lifted the lid. Oh, that's got a nice ring to it. Lifted the lid. And a pair, I now want to introduce the idea of the shoes, a pair of gold shoes. Yeah. I need some adjectives, I think, to really highlight how wonderfully golden these shoes are before I write gold. So, some really descriptive words. Glittering would be good, but is it the best word? I'm going to do some thesaurus thinking now. Right, here we go. Glittering. I'm going to write that down. Glittering. The glittering gold shoes. The gleaming. Oh, I like that word. The gleaming gold shoes. The glinting gold shoes. These are all great words. Lustrous. The lustrous gold shoes. I actually really like glittering, it seems, after all. Lifted the lid and a pair of glittering gold shoes. Glittering gold shoes radiated. Oh, that's a really wonderfully bright word in meaning and in what it is. It's great. A pair of glittering gold shoes radiated from... Oh, have a go at my simile now. Radiated from the box like. Before I can do this simile, I need to think of other things in the world that are gold. Let me have a little think. A necklace. That could work. Let me write some ideas down of other things in the world that are gold. So, necklace. The sun. Lava. Well, has a golden aspect to it. Lightning. Do you know what I've learned a long time ago, because it's in the 100 most misspelt words in the English language? A lot of people think there's a E just here, but there isn't in lightning. You just go straight in with the ning. Never put an E in it. Okay, necklace, sun, lava, lightning, comet. Ooh, stardust. Mrs. C, you're on fire today. Stardust. Oh, I feel really like I've stuck to stardust. It just is so delicious. I'm going to choose that, I think. Lifted the lid and a pair of glittering gold shoes radiated from the box like a... I'm going to have a really dramatic finish, like a whoosh of stardust, like a twinkle, like a sprinkle. That's better. Like a sprinkle, scattering of. Oh, so many ideas. Like a sprinkle of stardust. Oh, let me read that back. Mr. Bott hatched a plan. Emphasis coming up here now. A plan so shrewd, so clever, so perfect. He was sure it would work. He carried inside, which contained a very intriguing surprise, and presented it to the street salesman. Mr. Ripout lifted the lid, and shoes radiated from the box like a sprinkle of stardust. Okay, my ready-to writers, my precious pen pushers, it's you now. What you need to do is go and watch the film, watch the whole film, enjoy it, get comfortable, get your mum, get your dad, get the dog. If you haven't got a dog, get your imaginary dog. And get comfy and watch the film. Watch the whole film, and there's a link below here. When you've watched the film, I then want you to choose your chunk. And in the choosing, you stay in the time boundaries. Your job is to write 9 sentences, or as many as you can. And I challenge you today with these writing lenses. Could you give me a repeated word 3 times? Maybe so, yet, or but. Can you insert a bracket to the reader like you're talking directly to them to emphasise something? And could you give me a simile where you compare something to something else in your chunk? Make sure your writing comes back to me on Facebook, on Twitter, using the hashtag Super Sentence Stackers. And then after 12:30, I will read your work. I will look at your work and I will choose the most engaging, the most glowing, the most vivid and expressive. And then, after I've chosen my favourites, I will stitch it seamlessly together, and then I'll meet you in the reading room at 3:30, where we can share with our slippers on our communally written story for the nation. See you in the reading room at 3:30.